What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Did I mess that up or what? Yes, this is my first show. This is my first show. Welcome everybody to F the Ego. Unfortunately, I didn't go too well with the opening, but now that I'm here, let me give you a little background as to what this show is about. It's more or less about me, how I used to be, uh, and how I came to be who I am today when I went through some tribulations that you can't really predict in life, but sometimes they're there to wake you up. And in this case, it was. So I reflected on myself and I realized I wasn't even a person that I liked. And in doing so, I had to look at events that took place in my life and people that obviously I mistreated, but I didn't think I did because, of course, my ego told me otherwise. Um, how they say, like, you have an angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. No one mentions that ego behind you. And again, I don't want to come off as repetitive, but you do hurt people, including yourself, once you come to realize that your ego plays a big role in your life. For me, I grew up in somewhat of a hood, Montreal, Quebec. It's called Côte de Neige. And for those who grew up during my time, um, there was a predominant Jamaican, which I am, born in Montreal, unfortunately, but true Jamaican. And that being said, um, it was the time of the strong and the weak. And if you didn't portray a role where you were strong, then you were categorized as the weak and your life was different. Um, you're victimized, lived in fear, but I chose not to do so. Thank you, Mads. Appreciate it. Don't know why I ain't seen anybody else, but again, this is the first show, so that's how it goes, right? So yeah, where was I? So I had to portray this role and not to be the victim, and in doing so, I had to put on this mean look, carry mean thoughts, and portray mean ways. It wasn't really who I was, but it was a survival tactic, and it worked. But it got to the point where it was me. It wasn't even something that I was trying to do. It just turned out being me. And I pick and chose my victims. Bad things, regretful things. I mean, we've all had our time and our ways, but until you really reflect and see, then you could never really know and make that change. I reflected, I saw, and I apologized to the people that I could reach out to, even though they've already forgiven me. I needed them to know that I haven't forgotten them and I'm not that person anymore. So for that reason, I felt the need to do a show something like this because again, uh, with my ego, my schooling didn't go very far because I clashed with teachers all the time, and I'd like to think the smarts that I picked up are common sense smarts that keep me grounded. Some people say I should be on stage as a mentor or motivational speaker. I'd love, in fact, I would love to do those things, be a more so a motivational speaker or a life coach. But then you start reflecting on your own life and saying, well, where are you at? Who are you a person to be in that position? You don't have no degrees. You don't have a following. You don't have the credentials of today in order for you to be that person. But if you don't start, you can never really find out, right? So this is my start. Doesn't really go away. But if you can control it, it's tough like anything else. Learning a bike, piano, drums, skating, anything else takes time. Took me time. Still have my moments, but it's a continuous battle. Continuous battle that you really have no choice to take because there's no manual out there teaching you otherwise. And what people tell you, if you apply what they tell you, then you're more or less them and not yourself. So I always, I was a manager for many years in telemarketing, and I always like to say I was a different manager because I treated everybody as an individual. Most people in my position just treat you as a number. You give us the numbers or else. I didn't work like that. I look for the better in everyone because everyone brings a gift to the table. Thank you, LDG. Thank you for the intro. Hope you didn't see it because I messed it up, but thank you. Thank you. Bigger forward. See you soon. Ostinator, thank you for being here. Um, where was I? You're going to notice I'm going to have quite a few of those moments, so I hope you could just bear with me because I am Jamaican. I'll leave it at that. I want to try and keep this show PG. It's going to be tough, but I'm going to try and do it because I want to reach out to some kids. I don't want them to wait till they're my age to realize these things and miss out on so much. Because, I mean, I'm going to be all over the place in the beginning, and then, as we go along, I'll have some kind of format, but I'm not into that format shit. I like to come fresh and live. So, fresh and live, there was so many things I wanted to do, but I didn't do it because my ego didn't allow me to. It kept convincing me that if I did these things, I would lose this image that I created. But then you realize, what image? Who's looking? Who's going to give you this feedback telling you that the things you're doing are actually doing good things? Nobody. So what's the purpose of an ego? Does it build character? Maybe, but more times than not good character. Doesn't give you a chance to negotiate, think. You've already premeditated everything in your head because your ego does that for you. But when you follow this path like I'm trying to follow, to each their own, I more or less ask everybody if they're happy, and if they say they are, Yvette, thank you for joining. If they say they are, then I wish them the very best. And if they're not, I see how I could help. But you have to want to be helped. You can't just cry for help and not really want it, because then there's going to be conflict between you and that person, them not really accepting what you're telling them, you being offended because you're going out of your way to help them and they're not listening. It's a tug of war. But when you get control of, this guy here, when you get control of it, you're going to notice that you're going to meet people that would not allow you to meet. You're going to go places that will not allow you to go. And when this happens, the feeling that you get, it's unexplainable. And I just want to tell it to more people. And this is the purpose of this show. Now, 12 minutes in, I have a guest joining me tonight, and thank you for sharing. I have a guest joining me tonight, and basically, this person could adhere to everything I'm saying because he knows me for a good part of my life, and I know him for majority of his. And I could both speak on both of our behalf, saying that had he and I, now he has his battle with his, and I have my battle with mine. I'm not saying he's perfect, nor am I. But I could tell you this: had he not battled with his ego as well as myself, I would not be on tonight. And I could tell you 100%, Onzo of Bigger Ford Entertainment would not have a show, and none of you guys would know him because our egos would not have allowed us to do this. Our ego would have countered up some kind of delusional thought that the people that are on there are not the people that are going to keep this status that you're trying to uphold. And when you wake up, man, you laugh. Be it it's a serious matter, you have to laugh. And if you could wake up sooner than later, maybe your laugh will be a little deeper because you know what's coming. Will come now because you have subdued those egotistical thoughts. Um, like anything else, it could and may sound easy, but how do you know if you don't try? I tried. It took me a good 50 plus years. Because, I mean, let's scratch off five because, the first 5 years of your life, that shit ain't even there. Oh, sorry. That stuff is not even there. But later on, you tend to develop it because you're more familiar with your surroundings. You know who's a threat, who's innocent, who's a potential friend. You start making these observations as you're growing up. Um, there's ways to keep the threat away from you, be able to make friends, and unfortunately, for the lower status, you have to kind of walk on them to show the upper status that you're credible to avoid conflict with them. As stupid as that sounds, I could not break it down any simpler of how my upbringing was. Um, Involved a lot of drugs, a lot of guns, a lot of parties, a lot of drinking, a lot of environments that if you didn't come with, oh, sorry, wrong one. Well, either one, if you didn't come with, you were in trouble. And you had to. It was a badge. And I know I sound like a hypocrite saying that if I had known when I was younger that, you know, I would have followed through and then, but basically I wouldn't be able to be in those environments and become who I am today. I have no regrets who I am. But this chapter moving forward, I don't want to be that guy I was because he grew into someone that I myself didn't even like. If you could look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you don't like yourself, that's a very big first step. And the next steps that follow are basically you making that change, hopefully, because some people tell that to themselves, and it's a path really that I really hope none of you or anybody that I know or don't know follow. But it's more or less a simple path. You got to be able to communicate and talk with yourself. If you can't talk with yourself, then I mean, if you can't even follow what you're telling yourself, who's there that's going to convince you? more so than yourself. I don't think there's many people that could do that. So if there is, as I say, teach their own, all the power to you. But the average Joe, such as myself, because I like to think I'm average, I'm no one special. It's tough, but you got to want to do it, for the people around you. Because, you know, I like to think that, let me get this right now. There we go. I like to think that was the reason for my separation. Yes. Because in order for this show to be real, we got to get deep, we got to talk about some things so you could know that this journey was not easy. I mean, we're going to hit topics like ego in your marriage or relationship, ego in sports, um, ego at the workplace, ego at home. This comes with you like your skin. And some people are proud of their ego. Well, it must be an ego that's acceptable because more times than not, anything pertaining to ego is not a good outcome. This is somewhat of a fact. And I don't claim to be any Mr. Know It All. Again, I don't have any degrees in psychology, even though my wife's a psychologist. I have a lot of discussions with her, and I always like follow it up. Is what I'm saying making sense? Because I don't have that solidification that, I am talking logically, or I might just, people being sympathetic and I'm a psychopath just bumbling a whole bunch of stuff. But no, I like to think what I'm saying makes sense. And times have changed, so I have to consider the changes and be considerate and not try and hurt anybody. So if I do offend anybody, know that it's not intentional. Um, I grew up in a time where jokes were jokes unless they felt like they were directed at you. And then you get offended and put that person in their place. But I mean, yeah, I'm going to go all over the place with this. Like I said, it is the first show. But basically, in a nutshell, why I wanted to do this show is because I wanted to see how many people out there are someone like me or have experienced the same revelation that I have. And I want to get their outtake on it. And as I mentioned, my first guest, Anzo, don't know where he is because he should have popped up somewhere for me to include him in this show. But yes, Anzo of Bigger Ford Entertainment um, is one who got me started in this. It was an accident, but I believe that sometimes things happen for a reason. And this is a very good cause because I've been wanting to do this for many, many years. And anybody that knows me knows that I've said it, that I've wanted to do this for many, many years. And Anzo has set the path for me. So it's only fit that when I do my very first show, that's the man on my show. Don't know where he is though. He is busy. Says he's coming. The guy's in demand everywhere. So I guess I'm going to hold it up longer. So as I was stating, I was in telemarketing and I treated everyone as individuals. And it's not often that supervisors are told that, no matter where you go, I'll work with you. Because if I had to fire you, unfortunately, um, I would try and find you another job. If I felt that you were wrongly let go in the company and you brought credentials to the table, if I knew someone in the industry, I would put you there. And I could say I did that for a good 2/3 of everybody who worked for me. And I asked for nothing in return. Um, this is just who I am. I like to do good for people. I want to help people. I feel like maybe this is a little bit of repenting for the way I was in certain points of my life. But again, they were all survival tactics. And had I not done them in the environment I was in, what's to say I would be here doing this show today in front of you? That's what I can say about that. Um, I don't know if anybody in the panel has, sorry, in the commentary has anything to throw at this. Let me just check here for a minute something. Okay. If I'm holding this up well, guys. Again, first show. Hoping to get up on the chart with subscribers. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I never thought I could do this. And for that reason only am I doing this. I'm so pumped in the show I can't even remember my password. Go. So yeah, I have lots of material. Lots of material for this show. And the first show is going to be an hour, just giving it a touch and a feel. You know, because when somebody else comes on the show and we start talking and getting into their thing, I mean, sorry, it's not something that could really be 2 minutes, but there he is.
What is up? What is up?
The legend, the myth.
You might want to switch the views, right? So look right underneath, you'll see the views and click it to the one where we're the small squares. There you go. Why the hell do you have the Game Changers background up there, bro?
You see the Game Changers?
Yeah.
And here I see F the Ego and I'm pointing at it and I'm doing and you guys don't even see it?
No, it's your background is fine, but the background of the StreamYard. So what you have to do is you have to go to the bottom where it says background.
Sorry.
Load your logo up there.
It is there.
Okay, just click on it then. There you go. There you go. That's what we're talking about.
I still need you even when I got my own show. You see that?
It's all good, brother. It's all good. That's what we do. We're here to help, man. What's up? How you doing?
It was tough, Anzo. I'll tell you right now because when
I started the show, bro.
Well, hold on. When I started the show, I played the music. Music ended, and I'm like, "What's up? Where am I?" All I'm seeing is the lobby of StreamYard, and I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, you didn't add yourself to the stream? No.
And then I saw Mads writing some stuff, and I'm saying, "Okay, she could hear me, but I don't think they could see me."
Is that at the beginning of the stream?
Yeah.
You know I'm gonna go back and watch it, right?
You could. If there's gonna be a blunder, let it be the first show, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you see, my ego is not letting that get the best of me. I'm all good with it. Thank you for joining us, Poe. Big Danny, thank you for joining us. King David, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Introduce yourself, Mr. Anzo Big Ford. Let me hear this. I got to take them.
Well, I'll just say, man, what's up, guys? Bigger Ford Entertainment. You know, the channel just finished off a great show with fucking Danny for the Chaos Conversation. So if you guys haven't watched it, go back and replay that. It was really good, man. But Roberto said he was doing his first show. He said he wanted me on as the first guest. And I said, with my pleasure, man. I'd be happy to be your first guest. So I'm happy to be here, man. Very happy to be here.
It. As I was telling the people earlier, just before you came on, that maybe 15 years ago, I wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. These people would not have known you. Mm-hmm. This show would have never come about. And hey, Dandelion, long time no see. Thank you for joining us. The topic tonight, Danny, is basically intro to the show. If you missed it, you can go back and see it. And I wanted to bring Anzo in here just to justify a bit about the stuff I said and say a bit of the stuff that he went through with his ego. Thank you,
Oh,
Yvette.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll get into that because I'm pretty sure you have questions to where you're going to go. But yeah, my ego was fucked up, bro. And I'm going to explain to you guys.
Hold on 1 minute, also. Hold on one
Yeah,
minute.
sure.
It's my apologies because I didn't tell you. I want this show to be a little PG so we could reach out to younger people. So,
no problem.
We might have that R18 show to spice it up and add some fire like we do. But I want to try to go PG-18 because if we could reach some people to make that transformation as you and I did, to be here today and tell them, that's the message I want to send out there.
Got you. Completely understand. So, note to self.
It. Thank you.
No cursing, Anzo. I'll try.
Maybe LDG will hook me up with a sound effect that I can give you one of those and give you a cricket. For my cricket crew. Enough love.
Right. Yeah, so no cursing. Note to self. All right. It's gonna be hard, guys, but I could do it. You know what I mean? Like I said, when we do OOC and stuff, it's just free for all. We could do it, but if we got to do it to a point where, gotta be PG, gotta be PG.
Respect.
Not an issue, brother.
We're gonna try, Danny.
PG-18 also. Yeah, I know. I know. So where do we leave off? What were you talking about with the?
Well, basically, I was talking about what it was like growing up in the hood, Côte-des-Neiges, and what we had to do. Basically, how I categorized it. You had the people that could do something, the people that could survive around the people that do something, and the people that they do something to. And I would like to think I was kind of in the middle, sometimes leaning more towards the left, never really to the right, right? And unfortunately, to sustain that middle position, you had to lean a little bit on the right, like not so much like the first guy, but you had to do it just to avoid the first guy thinking that you could be like him. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of upbringing we had. And in the doing so, our ego took over to do that because we had to categorize people. Now, that person, I can't talk to him because if they see me talking to him, then they might think I'm one of them. Therefore, da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or go to that place. If they see me at that place, oh, no, I can't walk down the street. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
That's where I meant our ego, because in the end, who's really looking at all these things and making an assessment on you to say you earned your stripes to be in the middle? Nobody.
Right. And you see, the thing with me, my ego came a little bit different than that because
we're getting all versions, son. We're getting all versions. Give it.
Personally, I was a late bloomer, right? When it comes to maturing and stuff. So back in high school, I still tried to get girls and stuff like that, but I was more into movies, nerd stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was, nerd stuff, So what happened to me was I started working at certain places, you know what I mean? I started dressing better. And then I started noticing the looks, right? Because all through high school, like I said this before, I've tried to do my thing. You know what I mean? Holler at girls I like. They never fucking worked, bro. Like, no word of a lie. I was a chubby kid. You know what I mean? I was chubby. Not the best looking one. I'm going to say that. I don't give a fuck. That's the way it was, right?
Whoa,
so,
beep.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Strike one.
Don't worry. The commentary knows you ain't gonna pull this off.
No. I'm gonna pull it off. Don't worry, bro. I got this. So now, when I met my son's mother, right? This is where it all began. I met my son's mother, and I found out that she liked me before I even knew we knew each other. Right? She would watch me. She'd be like, "Oh my gosh, she's cute." Met her. We started talking, and then after I started dating her, I guess it's because, when women start to see you with another woman, that's what's like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? So now neighbors in her sister's building are like giving me looks. You know what I mean? Like I'm walking by the house and they'd be listening to music on the balcony. And when they see me walk by, you would get a big, hey, right? Like not to me, but just a noise. So I would look. And as soon as I would look, They would turn around, start winding up the bati and everything on the stream, right? I can say bati, right? Bati's good.
Yeah.
So they start winding up the bati on, and I'm like, oh shit, like, oh shoot, what's going on here? You know?
You know what? I might just have to make this 18 because this gets.
No. I got
You're
it.
killing me,
So-
You're killing me.
So now I'm looking like, and even then I was broke, right? I was still broke. Like for the longest time, I was broke. Like I was boiling your brother's shoes, bro. Like to be real, you know what I mean? Then I started working, and then it was a factory job, which I hated. But then after that job, my son was being born. I needed a job. Linked up with you. You were like, hey man, come check me out at Saito, blah blah blah, telemarketing job. And I was like, I never did no telemarketing. Like it was like, to me, it was like that, you know, those commercials, telemarketing, like you can't do this stuff,
But
man.
it's
This
not
is
even
like
a commercial. It's that thing in your head telling you, creating that commercial,
Right.
doing all that stuff for you, right?
fraud business. Like I can't do that, right? So, anyways, I get to the office now, and it was a candy store when I got in there. Like, you know what Saito was like, bro. And it was like, damn, right? But what happened was I started making money there, started buying clothes there, and then chicks started noticing. And
Not only that, what you're failing to mention is that this was a corporate telemarketing office.
right,
Like you had to pass in order to go and represent other companies. You had to dress up. You
right.
felt like you went from hood rat to businessman because you had to represent.
Right, because we had only the Friday, which was dress down day, right?
Exactly.
So every day
you
we
have
had to,
you have to
right.
reflect on all of that to show why and how you transformed, right?
right. And then not only that was when I first started there, I was struggling, right? Struggling. They took me off of one campaign, put me on Roberto's campaign, right? Now, as I was on that campaign, I was still struggling. But one day he took me into his office, and this is the part of killing that ego, right? Because I didn't have a care. We were sitting down at our desk, we were laughing, weren't taking no calls. Roberto calls us in the office, three of us, right? Still remember the three. Won't say no names on, but I still remember. Do you remember who the three were, Roberto? Still remember, right? Okay. So three of us in the office, right? And we were like the clowns of that time, like literally. And none of us were good, right? At the time, we weren't good. We were just clowns. So Roberto calls us in the office and he's like, listen, if I had to fire guys, if they said I had to fire someone, it would be one of you three, right? And I was like, shit. I was like, damn. So that ended up kicking something into me to where I was like, no, I have a son. I cannot lose this job at this point, right? And I can't let Roberto down. So all of that joke business and stuff that I was doing, I had to put that stuff to the side and do my work. And then one day I come into the office and we ain't never had meetings before beginning of the thing. But we got a meeting. And Roberto's like, yeah, man, I just want to, have a meeting, talk to you guys. And we're going to go through the numbers for the month. And it was like number one agent for the month, Onzo. Like, wow, really? Okay. In every category. Like, it wasn't just one. It was like every category. So with that, I start getting noticed in the company. Roberto leaves, right? I end up being heads verifier, trying to get a supervisor job, whatever. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on the verge. This is great. Like, you know what I mean?
We never would have thought that. Never. Not that it was a big thing, but it is a big thing when you're doing nothing.
Right. And nobody could tell me nothing at the time either. You know what I mean? I was doing my job. I was hollering at these hot chicks and getting them. Right. So I was just like on top of the world, especially when I went from being like feeling like bottom of the barrel. You know what I mean? Now I'm top of the world. So you know what that did to my ego, right? Didn't give a damn about nothing until I got caught. And then I got caught and I lost everything. Mm-hmm. And when I lost everything, that is when I realized.
Oh, look what you did to me. You got me pumped. I got it now. I apologize for that. Sorry. Because I know this guy's life. I know. Sorry, I got punked.
that was the like, holy, what, you know what I mean? Like one thing after the other, boom, boom, boom. So all of that ego, all of that stuff that you thought that you couldn't be untouched, that no one could do nothing to you, right? Because you are on top of the world. And it's not on top of the world, but for my life, it was. You know what I mean? For my life, I was on top, basically. Like, I was the best at the company. They've changed the rules at that company 3 times because of me, because I kept breaking everything. It was like they started off as like, oh, whoever gets the most amount of sales can leave at certain amount of sales, can leave whenever they get the sales, right? There was a day, bro, I think it was like 18 or 17 sales. There was a day that I called someone as soon as I got in there, and it was like, hey, how you doing? Oh, yeah, you want to renew? I got 20 accounts to renew. And every single one of them was an account, which meant I could have went home at that moment. After I put all the accounts in, I was free to go home, paid for the day. No word of lie. Every day around 12 o'clock, I was going home. Mm-hmm. But what they were doing is anybody that reached that 18 could go home. So I was going home first, but by 3 o'clock, they had like 3 agents left because everybody was hitting the number and went home, right? So they changed it. Okay. The next, only the first 3 can go home. I was always number 1. Every day. This is no word of a lie. It's God my witness. Every day I was number 1 going home, right? It was me, and there were 2 other guys that we were always the ones going home. Then they changed it again. It's like, okay, only 1 person can go home. And still, every day it was me. So not only am I hollering at girls, getting them, I'm number 1 in this company. Like, I'm walking in there like a superstar. Everybody knows Onzo is the best agent on this floor right here. What else do you think was going to happen? You know what I mean?
Agents,
give me 1 second. My headset's driving right off.
No worries. 110 agents.
Talk, and then I'll come back.
That call center, he forgot to mention. But that was his episode to get over his ego there. I only told you my episode as a supervisor, but I never told you from the day I walked in. The day I walked in, I was told that my wife was pregnant. So I said, I have to do this job because a warehouse job isn't going to work, and the streets are only until you get caught. So I went in there. Like full blown. I had a briefcase that only had my lunch, one of the 3 dress shirts I owned, and one of the 2 dress pants I owned, put them on, went to work in the morning. And I remember that first day. When I was walking in the metro, so many people were looking at me and smiling. I felt like, damn, I'm somebody. I'm never up this early in the morning anyways. Maybe that's how people are this time of the day. But no, they were giving me respect because I was a black man looking like he's going to work at a low-class law company. So I would go to work. But when I got assigned to a campaign, the manager or the supervisor of that campaign was from me, which was the land of the enemy. Like any group of rivals, you have a group that from A doesn't like group from B. And he was from the West Island. So
start with P?
G, Gary. I gotta say.
Okay, yeah, Gary.
But the end result of Gary, which I didn't see this episode, ended up being a very good thing, because when he used to come, they used to put all these tactics to get you to get more sales and stuff. I was new to this, Onzo, and we were doing campaigns that were on Dateline before you got there, right? So he would come up to me and put pressure on me, and I'd tell him, "Listen, you try and embarrass me in front of everybody, I will beep you downstairs. I could guarantee you that."
Mhm.
I would threaten him all the time. He never fired me. One day he came up to me and said, Roberto, you got skills. You got potential. Why are you always threatening people and always coming like with this mean? He asked me those questions. I just gave him the beep again, you know. I'm just here 9 to 5, do my job, get my money. I never saw no potential in this company. I never took a step back and said, hey, he's a brother in a position of power. Because to me, I didn't see him as a brother. I saw him as a West Island, you know, the terminology we use.
Mhm.
We're going to keep it legit here, right? So one day he told me that, and I told him, don't pitch me. You know, that's a common rebuttal to anyone
Mhm.
you try and give motivation to because they have a
Mhm.
financial goal in it. But he had none. So the whole time I'm going home on the Metro Onzo, telling myself, why won't this guy give up on me, man? I diss this guy, I threaten him, I do all this stuff in front of everybody. They're laughing. He doesn't fire me, he doesn't give up on me. So you know what? Today, I'm going to work with a different attitude. If I can't make sales, I'm just going to fit in. I don't want to be that guy no more. I don't want to be that stigma, you know? Goon, that's all they do is threaten people and da da da. Next thing you know, you want to be a weekend QA, you know, quality assurance. I was like, the old me would have said, weekends? Are you crazy, dog? I'll be at the club Friday. There's no way I'm waking up Saturday to go to work. You want to work weekends QA? I saw all the people in this office. They chose me. I'm in.
Mhm.
I did that for 2 weeks. Next thing you know, I was QA for the night shift.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, I was supervisor for the weekend.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, I was supervisor for the night shift. And then you
Mhm.
came.
Mhm.
Had I not taken that step back and really reflect, and as I tell my daughters, when someone gives you advice and they have nothing to gain from it, you have absolutely nothing to lose and maybe apply it.
Mhm.
I listened, I learned, I applied, and look where it got me. So I have
And
to
what
thank
you
Gary.
Oh, absolutely. And what you guys see here between me and Roberto, if we didn't check our egos, we wouldn't be here. And that goes for like me and him together because we butted heads a lot of the times in the places we work with.
What? Not
We
only that,
butted
in life too. He was my brother's
right,
best friend. Still
right.
is, but you know.
Yeah, but we butted heads, like, you know what I mean? And to the point where it's like sometimes it's like, ah, man, this guy, man. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm sure
Same
he said
here.
the same thing, right? We did
I
that.
would if he wasn't. I would if he wasn't. You know,
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm,
he was like a, you know. In all honesty, he still is, but he was a brother. This
mm-hmm,
man was at my house every day. When I
mm-hmm,
left my house, he lived in the building beside me. So if I didn't see him in the yard, I saw him on the balcony.
mm-hmm.
You know, so there
Yeah.
was really no. The gap between me and my older brother was you guys stay away from us. The gap from me and my younger brother and his friends is you guys are all right. Sometimes you just got to do some errands. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
my ego got involved too, you know?
Right.
But I
And
apologize
no
because you
need to
don't realize how
apologize.
bad. No, but I did because you don't realize if I wasn't that bad, how did that stuff stick in your head so long? You guys didn't enjoy it. It was
Mm-hmm,
a stain on your brain, and for
mm-hmm,
that, you need to know that my intentions weren't bad. For me, it might have been comedy, but it's not something you guys wanted to do.
mm-hmm.
So you know, for that, I apologize, man. You got to be the bigger man.
And I agree. And I think, and I don't know, maybe it was a little bit before, but for me, when I started to see the change was when you had Soul Heaven, right? Because I remember we used to go with you, right? Your brother was working there, and I used to just go and chill with you guys. So you would let me in, and you guys would drive us there, whatever. And that's when we started like hanging out with your boy Bubba and stuff like that, going to his house. That's when I really started to get to know Roberto. We still weren't as close, but because I was his brother, I'm getting to know him a little bit more. That's why when I needed a job, it was he called, reached out. It was his brother was working there. Brother said, "Talk to Roberto." Talk to Roberto. Got me the interview, and then that's when it just started to go even further and further. But even then, my ego, I don't know if his started to go down. I think it did because he was more into helping us at the time.
Yeah, at that point, it was gone.
Mine was getting there. I had no ego until things started happening with women, like where I started to feel this
Don't go
confidence
full
that I've
blown on that,
never had.
because I might bring you on another show. Because as I mentioned earlier, this ego is like your skin. You have the angel, the devil, and your
Mhm,
ego right here. And it involves your relationships, your work
mhm,
environment, your sports.
mhm,
I could go on for days where your ego plays a role. But you see, if we go all over the place in one, then we can't really stick to one, you know. So I feel
mhm,
you that your ego more or less was with your job, not respecting your girl.
mhm,
For me, where it started was survival in a very rough time of growing up, because
mhm.
you guys were only but 1 or 2 years old when Uptown was full of fireworks.
And that's
You
the
know,
thing too. And that's the thing too, right? My brother, people knew. You, people knew. So they weren't messing with me and your brother. Like people weren't messing with us because they knew who our siblings were, like who we had in our corner. So we never really had to worry about getting bothered because you guys already set the stage for don't mess with these kids. Don't mess with them. You know what I mean? So
amazing,
we never had to go through what you did. The roughness, the back and forth, the
especially the block
pro-
rules, stuff like that.
proving that you ain't soft. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We never
because
had to do that.
proving you ain't soft could get you killed at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, man. You know, going to
100.
parties where it's so dark, you can't even see your brand new white shoes. You just know
Mm-hmm.
people are kicking them and you want to jump through the
Mm-hmm.
ceiling. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, one corner of that church basement just lights up red and yellow.
Bam, 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 bam.
You have enough time to know, I always chilled. And you could ask Arnzo and anybody that knows me, every club I went to, if there was a back door, I was there. Because exit is number one priority when you're in
Mm-hmm.
these overcrowded clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Because every club I went to was gunshots.
Mm-hmm.
You have too many people that could travel to one area. You have
Mm-hmm.
Uptown, you have NDG, you have LaSalle, you have Burgundy, and they're all meeting downtown. And Burgundy feels that downtown is theirs. And Uptown is still connected to downtown, and LaSalle's connected to downtown, and South Shore is connected. So everybody's migrating to one area, and guaranteed things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I
All the
wouldn't know
time.
because I was out the back door.
All the time. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It got to the point where it's like, do you really want to go like certain spots? It's like, do you really want to go to this spot, bro? Because even my boy, like I used to hang with him like every weekend, right? But he had so many freaking enemies, like, and he would love to go to the spots where the enemies were. Like, he would love to. I'm like, bro, why you like
I
going
know what
here?
you're
Oh
talking about.
man, yeah, yeah. Oh man, the gal them, blah 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 blah. Let's go over here. And I'm just like, oh, okay. But now we go in there, and you cannot go not strapped. You have to be there strapped, right? Because you never know when stuff is going to pop off, right? And he always had a strap in his car, man. Always was always there. Got outside one time, you know what I mean, out the club done, and we chilling, he chilling. The haters are there, right? And ain't no one saying nothing to each other, but everyone want to show how hard they are, right? So the haters get in their car, and when they get in the car, they drive off. Hand comes out the window, gunshots in there, bam, 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 bam. What's the point? You got a gun. We know this, right? We have them too in the car. So that's what it was about. Everybody's ego was so high. And these guys were doing their stuff, making their money. And it's like, you're taking money out of my pocket. I'm taking money out of his
It's
pocket.
not even that. It's not even that. Onzo taking. There's some people, yes, that were taxing each other, but there was some people that just wanted to show how much better they were, and
That
go
too.
and bust shots in Burger King. Next thing you know, those same shots get them bite and take down $1 million operation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
That,
That's an ego problem. That's an
right,
ego situation
right.
because his ego told him, "You lick these shots, you're a legend."
hmm and
Yeah,
my boy with his ego was like, I don't care where these guys are. I'm gonna go there. You know what I mean? Like they can't touch me. They can't do this to me, right? One day, I don't go out with him. I don't go out that night. And then I get a call in the morning from my sister, and she's like, Anzo, I don't know for sure, but I think so and so got shot. So I'm like, what? Really? So now I gotta call his mom, right? I gotta call his mom. I call his mom and I'm like, is he there? No, he's not here. No, he wasn't. Not even there. He wasn't living with her, his mom at the time. But
okay.
did you hear from him? No, I didn't hear from him. I'm sorry to tell you this, but my sister called me and told me that she thinks something happened to him. He got shot. Now imagine having to tell that to someone's mom. So the mom is like, okay, Anzo, I'll call you back, right? So, and I was calling him. I didn't get any answer from him, of course. So whatever. The mom called him. Guess I got an answer. She called me back and she was like, no, 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 no. Not his mom. He called me. Called me later on in the day. I'm like, bro, what's going on? Are you okay? Everything good? He's like, yeah, yeah, man. And he's like, it wasn't him. It was somebody he was with that got shot, right? And they were sitting in his car. Someone came up to boom, popped him while he was in the car. Had nothing to do with my boy. Had something to do with the guy had a beef with someone else, right? But now I'm thinking, okay, fine, but do you know what it felt like to have to call your mom? Like, I am sorry, bro, that I put your mom through that stuff. And he's like, nah, man, I would have expected you to do that. I appreciate that and whatever. And I like, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to do that again because your mom was like my mom. I don't want to have to do that again. You know what I mean? So
Yes,
it's
it
all,
hurts, man. It's not
and
easy.
and that's why, like you said, the ego has to get checked. And mine got checked when everything happened to me. It got checked, and even to the point where it was like when I got put in a cell for a night for harassment. Right? It was the second time. The first time they kept me in there, let me go. Right? Second time they kept me overnight. And my ego was like, I am going to beat this chick when I get out of here because I would not have done anything to be put in there. I should not have been put in this situation until the cop comes in and talks to a dude in a cell and he's like, you're going to jail for murder. And I was like, whoop, gone, never thought of it again. And I kid you not, from that moment, my ego was completely checked. When my parents died, it kept dying, right? Because I started to feel like, oh my gosh, like no matter what I do, there's things I can't control. I lost my dad, I lost my mom, I lost my
Mhm.
dog, my house burned down, and everything, right? So it started
That's
to
a
go
lot,
down.
man. That is a lot.
Right. And then the fact now that the moms left me, and I'm like, no, you like she should have never left me. Even though I did what I did, I knew what I did, and I knew I was wrong. But I was like, no, 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 no. I can't let my ego did not want to let her move on. What up, JJ?
What up,
My
JJ?
ego,
Respect. Thanks for coming.
my ego did not want to let me move on, let her move on until that night. And then I was like, you know what? I cannot put myself in situations to where I may be taken away from my son and taken away from doing the things that I like to do in my life. So I crashed my ego and I let it go. This
It's
is why
funny.
now, sorry, go ahead.
I say it's funny because more times than not, it's just a coincidence that your ego was put in check through a relationship issue,
Mm-hmm.
as was mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because when me and my wife separated, you know,
I
it
remember.
was it was what it was. I was out there, she was out there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if it was meant for me to move on, I would have met somebody that was move onable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But during that time, I thought about all the times that her and I fought and all the things where I wouldn't even let myself think of repairing a fight or apologizing. all I would keep reminding myself, she never apologized. She never did this. She never did that. So never looking at myself, never looking at what I did to maybe have caused it. When you start looking all that, and then you realize, hey, this is a lot worse than I thought. I thought it was just maybe this, but no, it's this, that, this, and that, and this, and oh shit, it's that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's why that one and that, and you start calculating, and you're realizing how many people you hurt and let down because you're just somebody special. They can't talk to you like that. They can't do you like that. They can't look at you like that. But if you take all of those scenarios and look at the outcomes of all those scenarios and show me maybe one or two where the outcome was good, you could maybe justify doing those behaviors in life.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you, you'll be searching long and hard to find them 1 and 2 Anzo, and you know it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Because anything where my ego played a role in was played in a defense mechanism.
Absolutely.
So if I'm always putting up a defense, how could I let anyone's offense penetrate that? It's always attack, attack, attack. There's no giving you a chance to say something. I'll squash it before you say it.
Me, it was a lot of tit for tat. You say something, hurt me, I'm going to do something to hurt you. I'm going to say something to hurt you. You know what I mean? All right, you call me this name, then I'm going to call you that name. That's how it was always for me. I was always tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, when you go back and check on it, I'm like, I don't blame her for not coming back to me. I don't blame her. Because even though there were some great times and there were some good times, if I go and look in her shoes, there were some bad times. There were some really bad times. And even though I did what I did, if those bad times did not outweigh the good times, she would have came back. But at the end of the day, it was like, I can't do this no more because my ego was through the roof.
See, maybe the good times were sporadic, the bad times were constant. That's why the bad times does so much more damage.
No, the good times
are in the beginning more times than not, I find,
the
at least in my case.
Oh, no. I'm just saying, no, the good times were really good and they were a lot. Like the bad times were far in between, but when they were bad, bro,
they're longer.
That's
what I'm saying.
No, not longer. They were bad. They were bad, like almost fist fighting bad. That's the type of shit it was. You know what I mean? We would go stretches, great time. But when the fight came in, bro, I know you guys won't see it, but oh yeah, you can see it a bit. You see that right there on my arm?
Mm-hmm.
That's my permanent tattoo because she bit me because I was trying to grab her phone, right, to see what she was doing, and she just clamped onto that arm right there, and I will always have that bruise on my arm. Her mouth print is on my arm. That's what it was, right? So it wasn't like we were fighting all the time. It's just that when we did fight, it went too far, man. And it wasn't all the time, but bro, like literally, she was pregnant and we fought, right? Like bad, to the point where my mom had to be like, "Oh, stop, she's pregnant."
Right back.
Yeah. Like to the point where it was like, "Oh, so you gotta stop, she's pregnant," right? I tried to get away. I was trying to get away from her that day. Like I went and I locked myself in the bathroom just to avoid it. And she kept kicking the door. Kicking to the door. And I was living with my parents at the time. So by this time, my mom, my dad are getting fucked. My mom, my dad are getting pissed.
You're doing good so far. Don't worry.
Thank you. They getting pissed, right? So I got to open up the bathroom door to stop her from kicking down the door. She kicks down the door, and she has a bottle of Orange Crush, and she just pours it all over me. So I grab her, and I wasn't trying to do anything but just to move her out the way. But I guess I did it with force, and she kind of went back, and that's when my mom flipped out, like, "Oh, she's pregnant. And then I moved her out the way, and I left the house, and I didn't come back until later on that night. You know what I mean? But the point was that when it got bad, it got bad. Not just because of me. I never put my hands on her. One time. One time I did. But I never put my hands on her. But she would get mad, and it would be like sometimes she would just attack me, right? And I'm not hitting a woman, so I would defend myself, but it got to that point where it was bad. So we had good times, but it's just that the fights were bad.
Well, you know what? It was a hard lesson to get you to where you are today, but it was a lesson well needed because look at you now. I just wanted to go back to answer this question that King David had asked earlier: what gangs are in Canada, or particularly in Montreal? When I grew up, there wasn't gangs. There was boroughs.
Yeah, more like crews, you know what I mean? Like from this era, this area, this
Well,
area.
for how I saw it, there was boroughs, and in each borough you had your bad boys.
Hmm.
And sometimes there was five, sometimes there's two, sometimes there's one, sometimes there's 10. It just comes in numbers like that, but they didn't walk with any representation like, they had jackets saying the bad boys, or the worst I seen is that they had the same cars and stuff, but
Hmm.
nothing along gangs like in LA and stuff like that. So maybe Toronto is something like
Well,
that, like Mad
and,
said.
and and to be real, we have Hell's Angels and all those type of gangs, right? But when it came to us, the black people, the Jamaicans had their crew. They would consider them a gang. We wouldn't. We'd just be a bunch of Jamaicans hanging around or a bunch of Haitians hanging around, friends hanging around. But to white people and to cops, it was like, okay, that's the Jamaican gang. That's the Haitian gang. You know what I mean? That's the Spanish posse. That's this and that. So there were never really gangs, but because we always hung out in groups, they kind of labeled us as gangs.
Hmm. And yeah, just like, I wouldn't step foot in LA if I looked at how they portrayed LA, because
Right.
they're crazy out there, man. Step out the airport and you're getting shot. We're red, blue. You're dead right off the bat. I'm sure there's parts of LA I can go and wear those colors, but I wouldn't try.
Right. You
But
wouldn't take the
Canadians
chance.
are happy go lucky, polite people. But if you look across the world, every world has inner cities, and every inner city has projects, and every project has its own madness. You
Absolutely.
know, I wouldn't call Cote de Neige the projects, but I'd like to say it's a landing base for immigrants. And
Absolutely.
you had some really wealthy houses on, like, Kent Street. You have houses
Hmm.
that cost millions of dollars, and then two streets down you have apartment buildings. Cote de
Hmm.
Neige, like I said, I wouldn't trade my upbringing for anything.
Facts. I'm just trying
And
to fix my light, Roberto. Sorry.
it's okay because this show's supposed to be an hour and it's an hour and 5 minutes, and I'm liking the fact that it can go on much longer, but I don't want it to. You know why?
Hmm.
Because I want people to want to come back next Monday and catch a specific topic and see that we can rant on that for maybe an hour, hour and a half, and next thing you know, by popular demand, will become a 2 hour show.
Hmm.
But right
Hmm.
now, I want to just do an hour, keep the flavor live. We're already an hour 5 minutes. Um, Something you want to say, Anzo? Because I'm not going to kill it right now, but we are coming to a
Yeah,
near
yeah,
end.
yeah. No, I just want to say, man, um, I like the concept, F the ego, because at the end of the day, it's your ego that gets you into the trouble that you get into, right? Because especially us as black men, we can't let no one punk us off. You know what I mean? Yo, you're not punking me off. You're not doing this to me. You're not doing that. I got to clap back. I got to clap back. When sometimes you have to understand that maybe it's not the right thing to do to clap back.
Or maybe
Maybe,
you shouldn't be in that environment to begin with,
or
because
that too.
you've wanted to do something else, but because you're worried about what people are going to think about you wanting to do this something else, you hold back.
Hmm.
And again, this was said before Anzo joined us, and that's basically how my upbringing was. Like, for instance, the debating team. I thought the debating team was a bunch of people getting together to plan the yearbook, because I didn't see any black people going in there, and everybody in there had great grades.
Mm-hmm.
Had I known the debating team was a bunch of people arguing a point, I would have been a captain, yo. I would have
Mm-hmm.
been a
Mm-hmm.
captain because I love a good argument. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, I am a great listener if it's interesting.
Oh, believe me, he likes to argue. Roberto
But you
likes to argue.
see, my ego did not allow me to even give my body a chance to walk in that room and see. Because I'm worried they see me going in there with these people. These people could be amazing people. But I classified them because my ego told me to. And they're people that I could not associate with. And I'd
Mm-hmm.
like to think that I've met all diversity since I've been on YouTube. And there's not one person that I know of, because there are
Mm-hmm.
hips and crits in the back, but
Right.
not one person that I've clashed with or disliked.
Right.
So I like to think I've come a long way with my ego. And I do appreciate when Anzo reflects on it and says it. We are not trying to paint a picture that we are bad or we are tough or we are any more gangster than anybody else. Like I said,
Fact.
everybody's lived their own ghetto.
Mhm.
But you want to share your stories of survival, you're more than welcome. If you have a story of survival with transformation attached to it, you're super more than welcome.
Absolutely. 100%. You know what I mean? Roberto, you're a hockey player. You know full well Canadians have that side.
Yes. Yes. Hockey play. Yeah, but you know what the sad thing is, man? We leave it on the ice. We come off the ice, we're all buddies and teddy bears and drinking beers after we knock teeth out of the other guy's mouth, you know?
Yep.
It's that
And
crazy.
and since it's the first show, I will say this, man. Like I said, the change in Roberto is huge.
It's huge because I remember when he was the playboy. You know what I mean? The driving the Mustang.
The wife might watch this, you know?
Like
Go
she
ahead.
don't know. Like
It's
she
okay. It's
don't
okay.
know.
I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed.
I think she met the Playboy Roberto. You know what I mean?
The guy,
The
she met the Playboy Roberto who wanted to calm down. She
yeah,
knew
no,
how
no,
to
I
put
know
the
that, but
reins on.
I meant the long hair, the Mustang driving Roberto. You know what I mean? That's when she met you because your wife and my son's mother were pregnant at the same time. So I remember you still had your long hair and all that stuff at
Yeah.
the time. You know what I mean? So, but that's what I'm saying. The fact that you're able to now be like, okay, you know, I see the change, I see changes that I need to make or that you needed to make, and you made those changes. My mine was because of situations that had happened, so I
Me
had
too.
to.
Me too.
No, I know, but I mean when I say um like bad stuff, you know what I mean? And yours was bad too, but you were able to
Nowhere near, you know, but how you
right,
take it. I'm not even
right,
comparing, Anzo. I'm really not comparing.
right.
Because
So that's what I'm saying. So you did your thing in a different way, but you were able to overcome, you know? So that's great, man.
thank you. Thank you. What was I gonna say? What's this match throwing here?
Yes, that we live in fucking oops, sorry. But
You know
almost
what? We did very
almost
good.
did it. Yeah, I
I didn't
almost
think
did
we
it.
could do it. I was gonna assign another show to PG because we would need a lot of warm up leading up to it. But then I said, you know what? If the first show grabs them, then we could dedicate a show to 18,
Mhm.
and hopefully they'll respect that because when that show comes out, we're getting deep. We're getting deep, yo. And if you've joined us, some of you have that are in the commentary right now have joined us when we first did our OOC show. We talked about things that most brothers don't talk about. And we had some brothers on there saying, wow, like our friend Danny, wow, I could not come on the show and talk like that.
Right. Hmm.
I don't want to say that's Danny's ego, but again, to each their own. We would never force Danny to come on or question why he couldn't. But you have to understand that stigma is there and
Hmm.
it comes in your face sometimes. But we are somewhat of a different generation, and we're the stigma breakers. And if you got a problem, there's a sensitive police that we can call, and they will call you and censor you.
And like I
Oh,
said,
snap.
I am I've been completely honest with the things in my life, especially on the OOC, right? And that's because I'm not an expert at this stuff. I'm not an expert at it, but at the end
Shit's
of the day,
PG. Shit's PG.
okay, good. So at the end of the day, right, if my experience can help somebody, then I'm all for that, man. I'm all for that. You know what I mean? Take it how it is. Either you take my advice or not, but at the end of the day, like you said, there's a lot of people that have went through the stuff that we have went through. They don't talk about it, but now you got people on the stream that are talking about it, and maybe they can relate. So
You know what if they see a guy on YouTube who was a straight up murderer in the hood gangster and he turned himself into an entrepreneur CEO of a huge company, would that transform them to say, "Hey, I could do it"? Or I would think something along the lines like this, because we don't have no money from our drug enterprise to put into something to make us legit. But a guy who I knew who did something bad and came out of jail 10 years later, he squashed his ego, built a business, successful business. I was like, "You're my mentor, dog. You're my mentor." I don't think he's ever heard that in his whole life, because if anything, he was a menace, not a mentor.
mhm.
Now he's a mentor because something happened to him when he was inside. I don't know. But sure enough, something happened that DJ, I call it Devil Juice, got the best of him, took all of that away.
And I will say this is, as much as the stuff that has happened to me that has basically had me in a 5-year depression and had me questioning a lot of things in my life and a lot of things, even if I wanted to live, I would never, ever, ever change those things, because I know that I am a better person today because of the stuff that I went through. Tragic, yeah, absolutely. Losing my mom, my dad, absolutely. The worst things to possibly happen to me in my life. You know what I mean? For a,
Couldn't even think.
for a year straight, I stayed home and took care of my mom and watched her basically fade away and pass away. And with all of that, because of who I am today, would I like to have my mom back? Absolutely. Would I like to have my dad back? Absolutely. But would I be who I am today? Would I be this guy today? Would I still have the ego to where I thought I was untouchable? Right?
I know your mom's is looking down on you, and she is one proud woman, because
I
you
hope
have
so.
made a serious transformation. And I ain't trying to crawl up or butter anything.
I hope so.
Righteousness is deserved, righteousness is served.
Facts.
On that note, I'd like to say thank you to all the people who joined us today. I hope nothing really happens that I can't follow up with this on Monday next week, but I surely will try my very best, seeing how many views I get, because you guys all said it, yo. Put your show out, put your show out. I put my show out thanks to this man right here, Mr. LDG, who I have to give my props out to. Mad's Mama Bear for giving me confidence, letting me know. Cricket Crew. Anybody else out there I missed, I do apologize. I'm kind of a little disappointed that I don't see one guy here. The man I would like to think is my tennis partner, that we like to go back and forth. Who am I talking about?
Who are you talking about?
You don't know what I'm talking about? Might have a
Either
little fluffiness on him sometimes.
who?
Maybe some ears or something.
Yellow does it?
I was really hoping to see Mr. Yellow here tonight, but He must be busy somewhere else, or maybe he doesn't know. But
I
I do
tweeted it
hope
out,
this.
but
I hope,
I'm gonna make sure that people watch it again though. Check it out.
to those of you who don't know, my cricket crew was something I started on our show because I really didn't have anything to introduce for myself when it came down to everyone on the panel talking about their shows. So I asked my man LDG to play some crickets. Through that, it just became Cricket Crew. We just share that, sending crickets with love and all of that. There's a few of them out there. So if any of you wondering why these green boogers are showing up on the screen, that's crickets, and it's the Cricket Crew. And the Cricket Crew will follow me to my first show and share the love. And I appreciate it. 100, I appreciate it. And I hope I end this show properly. Now, do I click end broadcast and the music, or do I click the music and then end broadcast? I'm man enough to ask, because the old ego would have just did it and said, "Yo, I messed up," because that's how it goes the first time. But I'm gonna
Music first, then end intro,
So
then
now I'm
end
just
stream.
clicking on the
And remember,
background.
you gotta press end stream twice, right? So you press it once, and then you let the intro play. Once it gets close to the end, you click the end.
Wait, hold on. Now you just confused me. End stream
Okay.
once.
So
When I
what you're
click
gonna
the
do,
music right now,
right? No, let example. Click on the end stream right now.
and
Just
broadcast.
one time, yeah, just one time. Click on it. You'll see
Yeah.
a box pop up. It says end stream.
No, it says end broadcast or not
Right,
yet. Yeah.
exactly. So don't worry about that now. So you're gonna click your intro, then you're gonna click it to get that box up. When your intro is almost done, then you click the end stream, end broadcast.
And on that note,
Peace.